Public Affairs very much thanks Residco, our sole corporate underwriter, for helping to make the production of this show possible.
Where is the passion of politicians in Chicago, in Cook County, and around the state? Really, Republican, Democrat, Independent, I don't hear passion.
I agree, and from my perspective, I think one of the biggest challenges we're dealing with is the lack of balance of power. Part of the reason why we've started Big Tent Coalition and other organizations, and our goal is to get Illinois to be a battleground state by 2030. Now that doesn't mean turning Illinois red. It would be great if Illinois was purple, because we would be able to have more voice, more diversity of thought, and I can just point to examples. One of those being the Invest in Kids tax credit scholarship program. I was sitting on the House floor down in Springfield at our Capitol and watched as the leadership in government did absolutely nothing to help that program, to continue that program, a program that was benefiting nearly 10,000 students.
You said leadership. Who are you referring to? Call them out, name names.
Well, the Democrats that are in charge of the
Speaker Chris Welch, right?
Yes.
And the Senate President?
President Harmon.
So those two. Any other leaders you'd like to call out who did nothing?
I think there was generally a lack of energy and effort.
Were the
to get this
Republican
thing
leaders?
through.
The Republican have a House. We call him a House Republican leader. Some would say minority leader. Tony McCombie, right?
Right.
John
Right.
Curran on the Senate side.
Right.
Were they speaking out? Were they going around? Were they giving talks? Were they talking to the media?
I think outwardly a lot of folks were supportive, outwardly and publicly. Now, in the same breath, you have to just look at the numbers, and there's a lot of folks that are benefiting financially quite a bit from the teachers' unions and
Republicans
teacher
as
alike
well
groups.
as Democrats. So they just
Both
take the
sides.
money. Take
Yeah.
the money.
And it was really a shame, and you could see it in the eyes of everybody that was on the House floor there. It was shameful. I mean, you can see even folks on the Democrat side of the aisle that were very much in support of this program, but the screws of power had gotten twisted on them by the leadership, by the teachers union, by,
Okay, but
whether it's by threat
But you were
or
a state rep.
otherwise,
You're not a
but-
state rep now, but you were a state rep.
Yeah.
You got a bully pulpit. If you're a Democrat, Republican, or even independent, if there are any, you could say, okay, the numbers aren't there, but Tony McCombie, you got a group. Rally the group. Go out and speak. Shame them. Shame them. Shame on you. You got 10,000 students. It's a small number, but they're benefiting from investing kids.
10,000 students, those families.
Right.
And it's a $75 million program out of a $50 billion budget. I mean, you're
$53
talking
billion budget.
$53 billion.
And climbing worse, right?
you're talking less than a percentage
Right.
for a program that is changing the lives of generations of families.
Where is the indignation, the passion? I mean, is that why you left? Because you just got tired? You couldn't really have an impact? Did you decide you're going to put it all in BTC, Big Tent Coalition? Was that it?
That's a big driver for me. Is it's a big commitment serving, and I don't take that lightly, particularly as it relates to my family. I'm, as was mentioned, a father. I have 4 young girls. They're 8, 10, 12, and 14, so it's an important time in their lives. And so,
Did they look to you for inspiration?
I hope so. I try to be the best dad I can be.
Right, because they want to hear from you. They see some of this. They see some crime. They got friends. Some of them aren't learning how to read. They presumably are. They want to say, hey, Dad, what are you doing about this, right?
Right.
And so,
Yeah, and that's been always my thing, is like we want to lead by example. Action is a lot better than words. And quite frankly, we get too many words from a lot of our politicians and not a lot of action. But that was part of the frustrating thing as you go down to Springfield, particularly with an R behind your name, and you're in the super minority, and the game is sort of rigged to a certain extent in terms of what the rules are.
But remember, you have a bully pulpit.
Yes,
I don't know if it
agree.
was TR who said that. We'll say he did, Teddy Roosevelt.
Yep.
Said bully pulpit. Whether you're a president, whether you're a congressman or congresswoman or a state legislator or a municipal person, politician, school board member,
Absolutely.
you have a bully pulpit, folks. I've just said that. All of your door knockers, they got bully pulpits. It's a wonderful feeling. It's an inspirational feeling, right? I mean, you may run for governor, and if you do that, well, then you're doing something. You're, as TR said, you're in the arena. It's kind of dusty, but you're in the arena, right? You may not win.
Right.
You haven't said you're running, but you haven't said you're not. I mean, because it's competition. That's what you said. Without competition, what do we have?
Right.
I mean, we haven't even touched on this big story of outmigration. You know, Illinois lost, Wirepoints says, over 400,000 tax filers to outmigration between 2011 and 2020. The governor's in denial. He says, oh, Wirepoints, oh, those people are, you know, grifters or whatnot, okay? Naysayers, you know?
Yeah.
Governor, really? You gave what did he give? A few $100 million to Northwestern to put his name on the law school? And that's what you say? We have 17 congressmen. Aren't we losing congressmen?
We are.
Governor, is the whole government run by grifters, okay? I mean, I don't mean to be too sarcastic about this, but how can Illinois get better if it's in denial? I mean, if they're losing population, if they're going to all these other states, every age and income bracket suffered losses, says Wirepoints.
Yeah.
I mean, we are, you know, Wirepoints says, all taxes combined, Illinois pays the nation's 7th highest state local tax burden.
Absolutely.
Did you feel that when you were a state rep?
Yeah, I mean, one of the, you know, it really hits home, particularly when you're having face-to-face conversations with people and you hear their stories. And the stories are all different stories, but there's three main stories that I would hear. It's young people that are finishing college or about to go to college and don't feel like there's opportunity in the state of Illinois, so they're going out of state to get educated, and oftentimes staying out of state and starting families, so that you just lost the whole generational line of people. And then you have middle-aged people that, you know, their kids are finally, they're empty nesters, and they're looking at their property tax bill. They're looking at the fact that their kids moved out of state and their grandkids are in some other state. And so they're getting out. And then you have a lot of seniors. I talked to an elderly woman when I was on the campaign trail, and it just broke my heart. It's like, I did everything right all my life, paid my bills, paid my home mortgage off, thought I owned my house. And between the property taxes that we have to pay and the homeowner's insurance, it's like I'm going to be paying a mortgage for the rest of my life. I don't own my house.
And that's even before we get to this hundreds of billions pension hole that the state of Illinois and the local governments in the cities and villages have around the state of Illinois. That just gets higher and higher. They don't even make a dent, even though the governor says otherwise. I mean, and the mayor from Chicago has just been touting what a wonderful first year it is, without mentioning anything about crime, because it hasn't gotten better, without ever mentioning the high percentage of blacks and Hispanics, but also whites, who don't read. You could say they don't read at grade level, but they really don't read at CPS. Not a word. And all he says, we need more money, more money. I mean, CPS spends $30,000 per kid per year, up 40% in the last 5 years. And Mayor Brandon's contribution to the discussion is, we need more money, because he doesn't think kids can learn at $30,000 per kid per year. I mean, is this any way to run a railroad?
It doesn't seem to be to me. I mean, when you look at competitive education options and they're giving people a premium education for a third of the price, it begs you to wonder, we need more money, but again, you look at competition, enrollment continues to decline in the example of CPS at a rapid pace, and the amount they're spending per pupil continues to grow, and the results are, in terms of the outcomes, are getting worse. And so, how can you say more money is the answer? And, my dad had a saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. And there is no standing still in governments or in business or in life in general. If you're standing still, the world's going to pass you up. And so to look at what's going on in the state of Illinois, money goes where it's appreciated, people go where they're appreciated. And when they feel like they're getting taken advantage of or they're not being dealt with fairly, they start to look for other places to go. And what we need in Illinois is not more taxes. We need more taxpayers. And taxes are the one thing that is kind of a zero-sum game. There's the amount of taxes that they're going to levy, whether it's your community and your state, and that's just split between the amount of people that live in that area. So if half your community moves out, and we've seen this in some communities like Harvey on the south side, that's lost half their population, well, who's left holding the bag? The people that are in the community now are all paying, their effective tax rate is higher, the highest in almost any other place in the county.
So to sum it up, if you were running for governor, and you were running for governor now, I know it's not the case, we don't have an election for governor in Illinois this year, but just give me a minute or so of your stump speech. Yeah, just give it to me from the gut right now. What would you tell me in a minute why you should be governor? You haven't decided, but if you were running for governor, what would you go out when they opened that door, when you knocked on that door? What does Tim Ozinga say as to why they should vote for you for governor of the state of Illinois?
I think regardless of what the future holds, what myself and my family, what we've been passionate about for generations is helping individuals and their families succeed. And that looks different to different people, but we want to provide an environment where people don't have to worry about crossing the street, where you don't have to worry about your kids going out and playing in the neighborhood or what side of the street you're on, how to get to school. And we want to create an opportunity for families to thrive and grow and continue to build their legacy here in the state of Illinois, not feel like they have to go somewhere else to fulfill that dream.
All right. Thank you so much, Tim Ozinga, for coming here and just saying it bluntly, all right? And we wish you luck, as we do all our guests when they come on this show, because without you sharing these views, we're nothing, and we really appreciate you coming here. Thank you so much.
You.
Tim Ozinga, he's multiple things, but he is founder and volunteer CEO of the Big Ten Coalition. He is a father. He is a husband, father of 4 kids. He is a co-owner of Ozinga Brothers, okay? And he's the executive vice president of that company, very flourishing company. Despite all of these burdens and this tax burden, the regulation burden, your company is thriving in its 4th generation. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tim Ozinga. And thank you for coming to Public Affairs. You come back next week and every week to Public Affairs.
Cut.
Okay.
Awesome.
Baseball.
Yeah, there you go. I thought we were cut, so I should.